Well, hello to all the friends, family, and first-time visitors. I'd like to welcome you to the channel. Tonight, I'll be sharing my review for Married at First Sight Season 15, Episode 3. Now, over the course of this video, it is my goal to inform those who haven't seen this episode yet whether they should bother checking it out or whether they should completely avoid the episode altogether. I'll also be sharing my thoughts on the important happenings that occur for each couple from one man's perspective. And I'll round things out by giving this episode a rating from 1 to 10. This will all be done within 10 minutes or less. But before we kick things off, if you're new to the channel, if you enjoy my content and you want to help me out, then feel free to hit that subscribe button. I'm 74 subs away from reaching my end of the year goal, and I appreciate all forms of support. So without any further delay, let's jump into this review. Here's the episode breakdown. Episode 3 is a little over 2 hours long, and the bulk of the scenes are focused on Krysten and Mitch's wedding, as well as the aftermath. We also get to catch up on everyone else's wedding reception, but surprisingly enough, Morgan and Ben's wedding did not take place this episode. And this was because Ben tested positive for COVID. So for a second straight week, we gotta wait to talk about Morgan and Ben. But right off the bat, if I had to recommend whether you all should check this episode out or avoid it, I would say check it out, solely because this particular episode is what a slow-moving train wreck looks like. But let's talk about the couples that were shown this episode. First, there's Krysten and Mitch. We kick things off with Krysten trying to tell her father about the show and the wedding just hours before she's set to get married. We never really learn why Krysten felt the need to keep her father in the dark about all this until the last minute, especially after she admitted to being a daddy's girl. But when it was all said and done, the father agreed to support Krysten in the process. We get to the start of the ceremony, and to me, the most memorable part was when Krysten's mother was walking down the aisle. Mitch took one look at her, and he was completely smitten. I say brother Mitch thought Krysten's mother was going to marry him, and it got his hopes up, and I can't blame him. To me, the way Krysten's mother was walking, she was exuding a ton of seductive energy. But the minister was quick to remind Mitch that Krysten hasn't come yet, and Mitch not only looked embarrassed, but disappointed. Krysten finally arrives at the altar, and throughout the whole ceremony, it seems like Krysten and Mitch were a little nervous, which was expected. But the wedding was a typical ceremony, and there's really nothing remarkable about it. It wasn't until after the wedding that we start to see the red flags that may eventually end the marriage before it has a chance to begin. First, Mitch admits to the camera that he is not physically attracted to Krysten, which was a complete shocker because I thought Krysten would be the first one to admit she wasn't physically attracted to Mitch. Second, Mitch was showing everyone at the wedding that he was over the entire experience well before the sunset. I was glad that Mitch didn't show everyone how angry he could get, because that would have been very hard to come back from. And lastly, Mitch meets with Krysten's mother, and he makes a complete fool out of himself. Krysten's mother asks Mitch what he thought about Krysten when he saw her, and Mitch answers her by telling her how beautiful he thought she was, and by she, I mean Krysten's mother, before he ultimately danced around the question and then told the mother he doesn't believe in love at first sight. Mitch also tells the mother that he doesn't value money as what defines happiness. Krysten's mother, in a roundabout way, tells Mitch that Krysten values financial security. Now, I will say that I was glad to see Krysten and Mitch talk about something more than how they were physically attracted to one another, but I still feel that this couple has no chance of making it through the season. Now let's move on to Lindy and Miguel. Much of their early scenes for this episode are pretty much filler. They are shown talking to each other's friends and family members about how attracted they are to each other, which to me was a huge waste of time. But there seemed to be a high level of chemistry between Lindy and Miguel. However, there was a huge red flag that I spotted in this episode. Lindy's family is super religious, and Lindy's brother put Miguel on the spot, asking Miguel if he believed in a higher power. Miguel then responded by saying that he does not believe in a higher power, nor does he believe in organized religion, which is well within his right to do so. But I wonder how important Lindy values the opinion of her family, as well as how important her significant other's religious beliefs play into how far she's willing to go in a relationship. Only time will tell with these two, but I still believe that they don't stand a snowball's chance in hell of staying married past decision day. Next, we have Stacia and Nate, and we pick up with them eating dinner and sharing some lighthearted moments. Stacia and Nate have a chance to talk to each other's friends, and while Nate gives Stasia's friends what seems to be all the right answers to their questions, Stacia lets Nate's friends know that she's stubborn, she enjoys doing what she wants to do, and it would be an adjustment for her to consider Nate's feelings and how she makes moves going forward. Nate's friends then tell Stacia about Nate's female friends, and this is when there's a tonal shift in the episode. Stacia lets Nate's friends know that he can have female friends as long as there are clear boundaries between them. And in my opinion, that is a reasonable expectation, but I think that Stacia should give Nate's friends a fair shake before assuming that they're just creeping around on each other. And I say this because later on in the episode, Nate and Stacia meet with one of Nate's female friends. And as Nate's friend is talking, I can see Stacia analyzing the situation and essentially telling Nate that all this female friend stuff is going to end when they move in together. I'm not sure if Nate will be willing to cut his female friends off completely for someone that he barely knows. So this hiccup just lets me further know that Stacia and Nate will not make it in the long haul. And lastly, we have Alexis and Justin. Their scenes were pretty brief for this episode, but we get to see Justin admitting to Alexis that he's a natural pleaser and that he will allow her to be who she is. And while those are nice qualities for a man to have, it seems like Justin is just putting his cards out on the table without really knowing who Alexis is or if she's worthy of him putting forth all this effort. I'm still not truly sold on Alexis and Justin. Alexis admitted that she is a firecracker, and she's also a runner. And if by some reason she blocks Justin on social media or text message, then it is on him to try to find a way to talk to her. To me, that is unnecessary drama. And the only way for this marriage to truly work between the two of them is if for Justin to accept his role as the woman and Alexis to accept her role as the man. But the most interesting part of these scenes was watching Alexis and her friends talk about the possible size of Justin's maker stick. In a way, it gives credibility to Justin's claims that the women who he met just want to know if he's packing or not. The episode ends with Justin and Alexis getting ready to go to bed. And if I were a betting man, I would say that Alexis was down for that pickle tickle, but Justin is waiting to give her consent to jump his bones. But we shall see. Overall, on a scale of 1 to 10, I would give this episode a solid 4. It was bad, but it wasn't completely a waste of time. I think after the honeymoon episode, we as the viewing audience will have a good idea on where these couples stand, and if there's any point of watching the future episodes. But this marks the end of the review. If you have any comments related to the episode or my review, feel free to leave them in the comment section below, and I'll be sure to reply to everyone. Until next time, stay tuned and stay safe. Peace.